Man, we are coming down to the wire. It is the week before OSHKOSH. AirVenture 2024 kicks off this coming Monday. It's less than a week away, and I've been super busy the last several weeks. Chelsea's been super busy. I just finished editing that really personal story-rich video that I just posted to the channel probably about 4 days ago at this point. It totally catches y'all up on kind of the personal story between Chels and I and where we are now, kind of like a big life update. So if you haven't seen that video, it's the last one on the channel, go check it out. I've been working on a little bit of content here and there, but it really slowed down because a project that has really taken priority right before OSHKOSH is one T hanger over is Chelsea's Cessna 150 that she has had repainted. It has all new windows, a beautiful interior, and we actually just finished up installing a Garmin GI275 engine monitor, an EIS. She got the kit from Midwest Panel Builders with the wiring harness prefabricated and everything. She worked primarily on the firewall forward. I did a lot of the firewall aft wiring and stuff like that, and she actually just got finished with the initial engine run and 0 squawks. We also spent about 3 days rewiring her entire airplane on the lighting system and installed all new wheel-in LEDs, including wingtip strobes, which she did not have before, and a strobe on the tail, and they're all synced. She has an LED beacon now, landing and taxi light, LED nav light, all that kind of stuff. And then on 80991, I actually just finished installing all of those same type of lights on this airplane as well. I have since added wingtip landing lights. So these are wheel-in par 36s in each wingtip, as well as the LED navs and strobes, a strobe on the tail, the beacon, and this airplane just lights up at night. I am so happy with it. Just got the wingtips back from paint, reassembled all the lights actually yesterday, cleaned them up, got them aimed right where I want them, so it's just a nice, wide, really bright wash of light out in front of this airplane. And with the new wingtips on 80991, instead of putting the Cessna decal on the wingtips again like the previous ones had, we decided to go with something that was a little bit more of a personal touch. When we got the airplane, it was brown and gold with a beige base coat, so the colors were kind of like a baked potato with butter on top. That's what it made us think of. And I distinctly remember as a kid, and of course my dad remembers this too, my grandfather always called my grandmother, his parents, he always called her Spud for whatever reason. And I mean, like all the time, he always called her Spud. Spud is obviously a potato or a type of potato. When we saw the airplane, when we first got the airplane, that's immediately what it made my dad think of, the colors. So it was his idea when we were trying to figure out, like, what are we gonna name this airplane? He said, why don't we name it Donna June? It's his mother's name, my grandmother. And it stuck. And for now 11 years of having this airplane, that's just always what we've called this airplane, Donna June, or DJ for short. I think with the new wingtips, no longer having the Cessna decals on them, obviously it's a Cessna, and we already have the Skyhawk logo and it says Skyhawk 2 over there. I think this is a beautiful personal touch for us to add to the wingtips, my grandmother's name. And this year, both of these Cessnas are going to be on display at OSHKOSH. 80991, once again, will be at the Garmin tent. Come check out all the Garmin avionics that are in this thing, how we have this airplane set up for cross countries and IFR flying, and definitely check out these new wingtips with all the new lights. It's just absolutely beautiful. Chelsea's Cessna 150 is going to be on display at the AOPA tents. Definitely go check out her airplane with the new paint job, brand new interior, and the new Garmin GI275 engine monitor that we literally just finished installing today, this afternoon. So actually, as the calendar sits right now, we are leaving in 3 days. We're leaving for OSHKOSH in 3 days. So actually the airport that we're at, that we're gonna be departing from here, if you're coming through Western Kentucky on your way to OSHKOSH or on your way leaving OSHKOSH, I saw they just lowered the price of avgas here to $5.35 a gallon. So definitely swing into Juliet, Quebec, Delta if this is in your flight path. Grab some gas here, there's a courtesy car, run into town, grab some food. So this coming Thursday, which is the Thursday before OSHKOSH, my dad is airlining up to Nashville. I'm gonna fly down and pick him up. Meanwhile, that same day, our friends Mindy and Kevin are flying up from Orlando in their 182 named Mojo, if you follow Schmindy on Instagram. And her husband Kevin is an air traffic controller. They're good friends of ours. They're actually gonna come up to JQD. They'll be our guests for the night, as well as my dad. And all 5 of us are gonna brief up the following day, which will be Friday. We're gonna fly into OSHKOSH a little bit early. We're gonna leave JQD, make probably 2 fuel stops on the way up there, just take it easy, and roll in sort of leisurely into OSHKOSH on Friday afternoon. Because all 3 of the planes that we'll have, 80991, Chelsea's 150, and then Mojo, Mindy and Kevin's 182. All three of these airplanes are on display. And actually where 80991 sat last year in front of the Garmin tent, that is where Mindy and Kevin's 182 is gonna be. So we're both gonna be on display at Garmin, and then Chelsea will be on display at AOPA. As for our meet and greet schedule at OSHKOSH, got a few things listed here. So on Monday, July 22nd, Chelsea and I are gonna be a part of the big YouTuber meet and greet hosted by Dan Milliken of Taking Off. That's gonna be at Forum Stage 8, starting at 2:30 in the afternoon. And I imagine it'll go for probably about 45 minutes or an hour. Then on Tuesday, July 23rd, from 11:30 to 12:30, Chelsea and I are going to have our FlyingEyes meet and greet. That'll be at the FlyingEyes tent. And then at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Chelsea and I are gonna be a part of the AOPA Safety in Social Media panel. That's gonna be at the AOPA Program Pavilion right by the AOPA tent, where Chelsea's airplane will be on display. So we're gonna talk about how the safety topic ties into social media, where the risks are, how to be responsible with it, kind of do's and don'ts sort of thing. And it's just gonna be a good conversation. There's gonna be a lot of us up there on stage. Thursday, July 25th, from 10:30 to 11:30, I'll be at a Garmin meet and greet with Chris Palmer of Angle of Attack. And then from noon to 1, Chelsea is a part of an Aviatrix panel. It's gonna be Chels, Mindy, and a bunch of others talking about women in aviation and a lot of those organizations and sort of their careers and how everything's manifested. That's gonna be at the AOPA Program Pavilion as well. And then on Friday, July 26th, from 11 to noon, Chelsea is giving a talk at the AOPA Program Pavilion once again about all of her upgrades on her Cessna 150, the urgent and the unnecessary. I've been kind of a witness to her whole process, and I've heard her notes on what she wants to talk about at that talk at OSHKOSH, and that's gonna be really interesting because she has a lot of really great points and insights to share from this big learning experience of fixing up an airplane from 1966 to what it looks like now. And that's everything we have for meet and greets and talks at OSHKOSH. I really appreciate all of y'all's support here on Aviation 101, everybody who comments, everybody who doesn't, everybody on Cockpit Club, everybody on Instagram and other social medias. And please, if you see us at the event, even if it looks like we're walking somewhere or we're not having a meet and greet, you just see us in passing or anything, please, please, please say hi. We love to hear from everybody. And that's why we go to these big events. We want to socialize, we want to meet everybody. And for your support, I would love to shake your hand and say thank you. So if you're flying into OSHKOSH, I have a couple of notes that I would really like to share with you. Now, I put out a video about basically the top 5 things that you should know if you're flying yourself into OSHKOSH. And this is gonna cover some of the same stuff with a little bit of modification from my learning experiences last year putting out that video. And some things I figured out need to be said louder for those in the back, including some YouTubers and content creators that I saw doing these very things. So if you're flying yourself into OSHKOSH, here are my notes on that. Number 1, NOTAM, NOTAM, NOTAM. Read it, review it, and fly by it. Everyone's safety in this system of the OSH arrival and departure procedures relies on you to do your homework. All it takes is one person to not have a clue what they're doing because they did not read the notice, and it completely throws off the whole conga line. People have to break off. Separation is absolutely botched. So please, please, please read the NOTAM, review the NOTAM, and fly the NOTAM. All right, speaking of the arrival NOTAM, you're supposed to maintain a certain speed on the arrival. If I recall correctly, if 90 knots is a comfortable speed for your plane, you want to be at 1,800 feet over the railroad tracks at 90 knots. The other option is if 135 knots is more comfortable for your plane. Maybe it's a Mooney and 90 knots is like, that's a little too slow. You can go up to 2,300 feet and maintain 135 knots. For the love of God, it's indicated airspeed. It is not ground speed. I'll say it again for those in the back. It is indicated airspeed, not ground speed. I even saw an aviation YouTuber put out a video of their OSH arrival last year, and they were stressing the importance of paying attention to the headwind or tailwind so that you can adjust your power in this big heavy twin to make sure that you're on 135 knots. No, 135 knots indicated. It doesn't matter what the wind is. If you fly that indicated airspeed and the person in front of you is flying that indicated airspeed and the person behind you is doing the same, doesn't matter what the headwind or tailwind's gonna be, it's gonna be affecting all of you the same, and spacing will be great. You fly your aircraft by indicated airspeed. You do not fly your plane by ground speed. So please, please, please nail your airspeed. It is not ground speed. I hear people over the frequency on Fisk approach and everything, always botching the spacing for everybody else because they're trying to fly 90 knots ground speed, but we all have a 15 or 20 knot tailwind, so they're slowing way down to try and maintain 90 knots, and now I'm wobbling at 70 indicated because the people in front of me are slowing down trying to nail 90 knots ground speed. It's indicated airspeed. Speaking of YouTubers and filming your flights, number 3, be smart about the way you film your flights. I know flying into OSHKOSH, it's an amazing time. It's super fun to record this like complex, fast radio chatter. You gotta think quick, rock your wings, turn bass, all this kind of stuff. It's super cool to record that and then show it to your friends later, and I encourage it. But please be smart about the way you do it. I really encourage set it and forget it. Mount your camera, use one of those stickies to mount it on the ceiling over the pilot's shoulders, plug it into USB to a battery pack so that you don't have to worry about the camera dying. Set it and forget it. Just let the camera record, let it do its thing so that you can do your thing. Piloting the aircraft is your sole responsibility in the airplane. So once you hit record, just let the cameras capture the natural moment, whatever happens, and you can sort through the footage later. And the last point I want to make on the cameras thing is if you're mounting cameras externally, please use common sense. Under no circumstances should you ever mount a camera on the outside of an airplane with a suction cup. How does a suction cup adhere itself, stick itself to something? It's low pressure inside the suction cup. You know, do this with your hands, you can feel it. You can feel the suction. That's low pressure inside your palms. The suction cup works the same way. You squeeze all the air out, and then when it tries to do this, it's super, super low pressure and it will not let go if the seal is perfect. Now, I promise you, I don't care if you have a really slow, tame airplane and your wing is mirror finish polished aluminum. It's not a perfect surface. There's gonna be a slow leak. That's the first thing. Second thing is you have low pressure inside that suction cup. It's low relative to the outside air pressure that's pushing in on that suction cup. That's what's keeping it on the surface. Now, what happens when the airplane speeds up? You have the accelerated slipstream. What is the accelerated slipstream? It's low pressure. So you have this suction cup that's stuck to the surface, and then now right here, going past the back of the suction cup, that's the accelerated slipstream. The air is moving much faster and it's creating low pressure. So your pressure differential just dropped significantly, so that suction cup just got weaker. And the third point about that, what happens as the airplane climbs? As you gain altitude, air pressure comes down. So on top of an imperfect surface and the accelerated slipstream already dropping the pressure just from airspeed, you're going up in altitude and further decreasing the pressure on this side. That suction cup eventually is gonna let go. And if you've done that before and you think that it's super strong and you don't have to worry about it, there will come a day when it will let go. And I don't care if you checked it and licked it and rubbed it clean and reset it before the flight, there will come a day that it will let go. Your surface is not perfect, the suction cup is not perfect, and on top of all of that, as soon as you take off, ambient pressure is dropping, accelerated slipstream and altitude. Didn't think that that really needed to be said, but I have seen, especially lately, and still to this day, seeing content creators on YouTube and even some high-profile Instagram profiles sticking a camera to the underside of the wing with a suction cup and flying over super populated areas like Manhattan and stuff like that. On 80991 right there is a hard mount that was installed. It's legal, it's in the logbook and everything. If you have the means, get one of those installed. We have one on each wing. It's reinforced with a doubler and machine screws and steel lock nuts, and it has redundant fasteners. All it's gonna take is one person who thought it was okay to mount a camera on the outside of the airplane with a suction cup to lose that suction cup. It comes off the airplane. God forbid it kills somebody when it contacts the ground, but if it causes any sort of damage or even gets reported in any sort of way, even if it didn't hurt anybody, our freedom to responsibly capture our flights with cameras and share them with the world on social media will be in grave danger because of stupidity. So please be responsible about it. Please. Set it and forget it. Piloting the aircraft is your sole responsibility, so just let the cameras capture the natural moment and do not use suction cups on the outside of the airplane. Number 4, brush up on your spot landings. Go around the pattern a few times at your home airport before you make your pilgrimage to OSHKOSH and just try to put the airplane down close to the 1,000-foot markers. You don't have to leave rubber marks on the paint, but get close. And just practice that a few times. Make sure you got your energy management right. Maybe do it a couple different ways. Do it coming in maybe a little bit lower, do it coming in high, do it with a short approach, because you never know what they're gonna ask you to do when you are arriving at OSHKOSH. You may have a nice squared off base to final and it's kind of leisurely and you can really manage your energy that way. Or they might say, cut it straight to the green dot, clear to land, because they have something faster coming in behind you and they need you down and off in the grass as soon as possible. You never know. And it's better to just have a little bit of recent practice to brush up on your proficiency, knock the rust off those spot landing skills, so that you don't get behind the airplane and frazzled when you're asked to put it down on the green dot or the purple dot, whatever, and you haven't done that in a long time. Just take 30 minutes in the pattern. Go enjoy a flight by yourself and just go do some nice pattern work and practice getting it close to those 1,000-foot markers. 1,000-foot markers are easy to see, just like the colored dots at OSHKOSH. It's a great aiming point. Give that a little bit of practice. And number 5, I can't stress this one enough. Give yourself plenty of time and bring plenty of fuel. Sometimes the airport will randomly close because of an incident that happened on the runway, or you might have to go around the holding pattern who knows how many times. Or in our case, Chelsea and I last year, an airplane ground looped on the runway when we were base to final, and we were told to go around, basically do a right downwind over Lake Winnebago, cut over the airport, climb over the Fisk arrival, go all the way back to Endeavor Bridge and start over. So that ate up an additional 45 minutes. What I like to do is get within about an hour of OSHKOSH and stop at some airport in that radius, an hour outside of OSHKOSH, that has decent fuel prices and good amenities. We stopped in Walgreen, Illinois, I think is where it was. But there are tons of airports. I think we have a plan for a different place this year. But stop for one last fuel stop when you're within striking distance of OSHKOSH is what I usually say. I call that 1 hour. That'll be a good time for us to take a breather, maybe get a little cup of coffee from the FBO, top all the planes off with fuel. We'll have plenty of daylight hours, but we're gonna leave ourselves plenty of time, hopefully get to that second fuel stop by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that will leave us plenty of daylight and plenty of time to navigate around any weather if we have to navigate any issues getting into the airport. And we will be taking off with only 1 hour of flying remaining, and all of us will have like 4 hours of gas on board. Give yourself a breather so that that last flight is super short, super sweet and enjoyable. It just knocks the stress level down so much. So I really recommend that. So those are my notes for flying into OSHKOSH. Definitely leave a comment down below if you think I missed anything. I'm always open to that constructive criticism and feedback. I want to hear if there are gaps in what I've said here, or if there's another point that you're thinking of that I did not even remotely mention. I want to hear that stuff down in the comments. So please head down there, start a conversation. Chelsea and I will be posting a lot on Instagram about meet and greets. We're going to try to put stuff on our stories throughout the week, just to keep everybody apprised, hey, we got a meet and greet in the morning here, we're doing this talk in the afternoon. So definitely give us a follow on social media to keep up with kind of what's going on, what's transpiring with our manifestation of this plan for our pilgrimage to the greatest aviation gathering in the world. It is one big family reunion. So again, thank you so much for your support. And I want to thank my sponsors of Aviation 101, Garmin, FlyingEyes, Plain English, and SiriusXM. The content here on Aviation 101 will always be free to consume here on YouTube, but it has never been free to create with all the editing and everything. And these amazing sponsors make it happen. They keep this content flowing at an amazing rate, and they are so supportive with every video project I want to do and everything I want to bring to all of y'all through the content. So I want to thank all of them, and I want to thank all of you for your support. Everyone fly safe, have a great trip, and we'll see you next week at AirVenture 2024 in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.